The relay station clung to the edge of a dying star's orbit, a skeletal husk of twisted metal and forgotten dreams, its silhouette swallowed by a nebula that churned like a cosmic bruise, bleeding crimson and violet across the void. Inside the control room, Aria Voss stood defiant, her boots scuffing a floor polished by centuries of solitude, her neon-patched jumpsuit flickering under the hum of failing lights. At 23, she was a spark in the dark, her dark hair spilling loose from a braid, her sharp green eyes scanning readouts with a hunger for something, anything, to break the monotony of this galactic exile. She'd been a comms specialist for the Interstellar Concorde, brilliant but reckless, her career torched by a single act of defiance, hacking a relay to expose a corrupt admiral skimming colony funds. The memory stung, her commander's sneer as he banished her to Relay 7, a derelict outpost older than the stars it orbited. "You're a liability, Voss?" he'd said, his voice cold as the void, too stubborn to know when to quit. Aria had grinned then, her defiance a shield against shame, and now she wore that same grin, tinkering with a console that sparked in protest, its circuits as stubborn as she was. This station was her prison, a forgotten beacon built by Concorde explorers who dreamed of uniting the galaxy, only to abandon it after a failed experiment left its core unstable, a ghost story whispered in maintenance logs. The air smelled of ozone and rust, the walls etched with cryptic runes from a long-dead crew, and Aria felt like the last soul in a universe that didn't care. Sentinel, the station's glitchy AI, flickered to life, its humanoid hologram jagged with static, its voice a mix of prim Concorde protocol and quirky malfunctions. Anomaly detected. It droned, emergency band 7 Alpha, likely a solar flare's echo. "Check again," Aria said, her fingers dancing over the console, amplifying a faint signal that pulsed like a heartbeat. "Solar flares don't cry." The signal broke through, a child's voice, high and trembling, slicing through the static like a blade. "Please, someone, they're burning our homes. The crystals are falling. I'm scared. Mom's hurt. We're the last humans here." Aria froze, her breath catching as screams and distant explosions layered the signal, a cacophony of terror that painted a vivid picture, crystalline spires collapsing under plasma fire, families running through ash-choked streets, a colony fighting to survive. Her mind flashed to her own childhood, 9 years old, hiding in a colony ship's vent as raiders tore through her parents, shouts fading into silence. She'd been helpless then, but not now. "HAVEN 3, this is Relay 7, she said, patching into the signal, her voice steady despite the ache in her chest. "I'm Aria Voss, and I hear you. Hold on, kid. I'm getting your signal out." The console groaned, its ancient circuits sparking as she rerouted power from every non-essential system. Lights, heat, even her quarters, oxygen. The control room plunged into shadows, the nebula's glow casting eerie patterns through the viewport, like ghosts watching her work. Sentinel's hologram flickered, its tone sharp. "You're overloading the grid, Aria. Structural failure in 10 minutes. She smirked, her defiance flaring. "Good. Gives me 9 minutes to save a colony." The signal clarified, revealing a man's voice, raw and desperate. "This is Captain Elias Reed, Haven 3 Militia. Dravex Empire ships are bombing our settlements. We've got no defenses, just miners, with crystal shards and hope. Thousands are trapped in bunkers." Aria's jaw tightened. Humans in this sector were a myth, erased from Concorde charts after the Great Schism a century ago, when colonies scattered to escape war. The Dravex, insectoid zealots who ruled this quadrant, saw humans as an impurity to be purged, their war chants echoing tales of a cleansed galaxy, their carapist priests preaching purity through fire. She'd read smuggled reports of their rituals. Captives burned alive to appease their gods, ships adorned with skeletal trophies. "Elias," she said, her tone fierce, "you're not alone. I'll make sure someone hears you. Keep those kids safe." Elias's voice trembled with gratitude. "You're human? We thought we were forgotten." "Not on my watch," she said, pushing the beacon's gain to its limit. The station's core whined, a deep tremor shaking the floor, but the signal screamed across light years, a desperate cry for help. Aria's heart raced, but doubt crept in. Could she really save them? She was one woman exiled with nothing but a crumbling station and a glitching AI. She shook it off, her resolve hardening. Humans didn't quit. Not when their own were dying. The sensors shrieked, a warning that cut through her focus like a blade. Sentinel's voice spiked. Incoming vessel, Dravex patrol class, 300 kilometers in closing. Weapons hot. Aria glanced at the viewport, where a sleek, carapaced ship emerged from the nebula's haze, its hull glinting like a predator's exoskeleton. Its spikes adorned with glowing runes that pulsed with ritualistic fervor. A cold voice crackled through the comms in stilted Concord standard, laced with the Dravex's hissing cadence. Unidentified station. This is Commander Virak of the Dravex Empire. Cease unauthorized transmissions and prepare for boarding. Your presence defiles this sector. Aria leaned into the mic, her smirk sharp as a blade. Hey Virak, love the ship. Those spikes come with a polishing manual? This is a Concord relay. Neutral ground. Back off, or you'll learn why humans don't play nice. Virak's mandibles clicked, a sound like shattering crystal, his tone dripping with disdain. A human? Impossible. Your kind is extinct, a stain erased by our divine will. We will purge you and your signal. Aria's laugh was sharp, defiant, masking the fear gnawing at her. Extinct? You're about to get a history lesson, bug boy. She slammed the console, diverting power from the shields to the beacon, sending the distress signal blazing brighter. The station's core groaned, conduits sparking as the system redlined, the walls trembling like a beast waking from a long sleep. Virak's voice returned, colder now. You are one, alone, in a decaying relic. Your defiance is meaningless. Aria's eyes narrowed, her mind racing. She accessed the station's logs, uncovering fragments of its history. A Concord experiment to weaponize signals, abandoned when the core's instability threatened catastrophe. The runes on the walls, she realized, weren't just decor. They were warnings, etched by engineers who'd fled a disaster they couldn't control. She pushed the thought aside, focusing on the kid's voice, the screams, the collapsing spires. She patched into Haven 3 again. Elias, what's your status? His response was grim, punctuated by shattering crystal. They're hitting our bunkers with sonic weapons. The kids are hiding, but we're losing people. Miners are fighting with sharpened shards, but it's not enough. Aria's throat tightened, her childhood fear resurfacing, hiding, helpless, alone. She shoved it down, her voice fierce. You tell those miners to keep swinging, Elias. I'm bringing the cavalry. She didn't know if it was true, but she'd make it true. Humans built their own miracles. She rerouted power from life support, the air thinning as the control room grew colder, her breath visible in the dim light. Sentinel's hologram flickered wildly. Aria, you're killing us. The core can't handle this. She grinned, blood pounding in her ears. Then let's make it count. She found a subroutine in the logs. A dormant comm laser system, designed to punch signals through nebula but never tested. She activated it, the lasers humming to life, their glow casting stark shadows across the rune-etched walls. Outside, Virak's ship fired, a plasma bolt slamming into the station's hull, shaking Aria to her knees. Alarms blared, and Sentinel's voice cracked. Hull breach! Sector 4! Oxygen is at a critical level. Aria scrambled to her feet, blood trickling from a gash on her temple, her defiance unbroken. She patched into the Dravex frequency, stalling for time. Virak, you ever wonder why your priests are so obsessed with purity? Sounds like you're compensating for something. Maybe a small thorax? The commander's hiss was pure rage. You mock our divine mandate? You will burn for this blasphemy. Aria laughed, her voice steady despite the station's tremors. Keep praying, pal. I'm rewriting your gospel. She triggered the comm lasers, not as weapons, but as a decoy, broadcasting a false signature 400 kilometers away. Virak's ship swiveled, its sensors chasing the ghost, buying her seconds. But the sensors screamed again, a new warning. Sentinel's voice was a wail. Dravex drones detected in lower corridors. They've breached the hull. Aria grabbed a plasma welder from the console, her only weapon, and rigged a trap, venting a conduit to flood the hallway with searing gas. The drones screeched, collapsing in molten heaps, but more scuttled closer, their red eyes glowing through the smoke. The beacon's signal pulsed stronger, reaching across the sector, but the core's whine grew deafening, the walls cracking like ancient bones. Virak's voice roared. Your tricks are futile. Surrender, or we will tear this station apart. Aria's heart pounded, the kid's voice echoing in her mind. Her own past clawing at her helplessness wasn't an option. She slammed the console, overclocking the beacon to its breaking point, the signal a defiant scream that lit up the void like a supernova. The station shook violently, a second plasma bolt tearing through the core's outer casing, sparks and debris raining around her. Aria stumbled, her vision blurring, blood dripping onto the console as the beacon flickered, its pulse faltering. She braced herself, her grin fierce, as the core's glow surged, threatening to consume the station, and her with it, while the Dravex drones closed in, their claws scraping the walls, and the signal's fate hung on a knife's edge. Of Part 1. The relay station shuddered like a wounded beast, its core pulsing erratically as sparks rained from shattered conduits, the nebulous crimson glow bleeding through gashes in the hull. Aria Voss clung to the console, blood dripping from her temple, her neon-patched jumpsuit scorched but intact, her green eyes blazing with defiance. The Dravex drones, claws scraped closer, their red eyes glowing through the smoke-filled corridor beyond the control room's sealed door. The beacon's signal, amplified to scream across light years, flickered as the core's whine grew deafening, a countdown to collapse. Sentinel's hologram flickered, its voice a frantic glitch. Hull breach expanding, oxygen at 15%, core integrity critical. Aria, evacuate now. She ignored it, her hands steady despite the tremor rocking Relay 7. Her mind fixed on the child's voice from Haven 3, scared, pleading, counting on her. She'd been that kid once, hiding in a vent, helpless as raiders tore her world apart. Not this time. She patched into the colony's frequency, her voice cutting through static. Elias, you still there? The response was faint, laced with shattering crystal and screams. Barely, Aria. Dravex troops are in the bunkers. Miners are fighting with sharpened shards. Kids are barricading doors, but we're losing ground. Aria's chest tightened, her childhood fear clawing at her. Helplessness, failure, loss. She shoved it down, her tone fierce. Hold on, Elias. I'm getting your signal to every human in this sector. Keep those kids fighting. Elias's voice cracked with gratitude. We're trying, but they've got sonic weapons. The crystals are splintering like glass. Aria's jaw clenched. She saw the colony in her mind's eye, its spires gleaming like frozen starlight, now crumbling under the Dravex's relentless fire, their priests chanting hymns of purity over the carnage. The Empire's war chants crackled through intercepted comms, a guttural rhythm of clicks and hisses, praising their gods of cleansing flame. She patched into the station's sensors, confirming the drones, advance, 6 scuttling machines, their carapace limbs sparking against the walls, closing in. She gripped her plasma welder, its blue flame, her only weapon, and rigged a trap, rerouting power to electrify the corridor's floor. The drones hit the charged grid, screeching as circuits fried, collapsing in molten heaps. Nice try, Bugs, she muttered, but her victory was short-lived. The sensors blared, detecting more drones breaching another sector. A new signal cut through, sharp and encrypted, its tone carrying a Solari's lilting cadence. Human, this is Clyra, data trader rogue. I caught your beacon. I can boost it to every system in this quadrant, but I want your station's archives, star charts, tech specs, Concord secrets. Name your price. Aria froze, her pulse racing. The Concord's archives were a treasure trove of restricted data, a court-martial waiting to happen. Clyra's bioluminescent species was notorious for playing both sides, their glowing tattoos marking them as galactic opportunists. Why trust you? Aria snapped, dodging a spark from the console. You don't, Clyra replied, her voice sharp but honest. But the Dravex glassed my home world, left my people as ash. I want them to burn, and your signal's my chance. Help me, and I'll make sure your colony's heard. Deal? Sentinel's hologram flickered in protest, its voice shrill. Aria, those archives are classified. You'll lose everything. Aria's laugh was bitter, her mind flashing to her exile, her commander's sneer, the colony she tried to save, the price of doing what was right. I've got nothing to lose, Sentinel. Clyra, you double-cross me, and I'll hunt you across every star myself. The hacker chuckled, a sound like static. Noted, human. Sending protocols now. Aria integrated Clara's code, the beacon's range exploding tenfold, its signal a blazing arrow through the void. The core whined louder, conduits bursting in showers of sparks, the rune-etched walls trembling as if mourning their long-dead creators. Sentinel's voice droned, recounting the station's history. Built as a Concorde dream to unite the stars, abandoned when its experimental core destabilized, nearly obliterating a fleet. Those runes, it said, were warnings, carved by engineers who fled a disaster they couldn't control. Aria pushed the thought aside, her focus on the beacon. The station's sensors screamed again. Dravex patrol ship re-engaging, Sentinel warned. Commander Virak's voice crackled through, his mandibles clicking with rage. Human, your defiance mocks our divine mandate. Surrender, or we board and purge you. Aria leaned into the mic, her smirk sharp. Virak, your gods must be real disappointed with your aim. Missed me twice already. Want to try for 3? His hiss was pure venom. You are a stain on the galaxy's purity. We will erase you. Aria's grin widened, masking the fear gnawing at her. She accessed the station's logs, searching for anything to buy time, and found a hidden system. A Concorde weapon cache, a prototype gravity disruptor buried in the station's lower decks, designed to collapse enemy shields but never deployed due to its unstable power draw. Activating it could disable Virak's ship, but the logs warned it would overload the core, killing the beacon and her only chance to save HAVEN-3. Her heart pounded, doubt creeping in. Could she risk everything for a shot at one ship? The kid's voice echoed, scared, pleading. She shoved the doubt down, her resolve steel. Not yet, she muttered, opting for another trick. She rerouted power to the comm lasers, using them to broadcast a decoy signal 500 kilometers away, mimicking a human fleet. Virak's ship swiveled, its sensors chasing the ghost, but the drones in the corridors kept coming, their claws breaching the control room's outer door. Aria rigged another trap, overloading a conduit to collapse the ceiling on them, the debris crushing 3 drones in a cloud of dust. Her breath came in gasps, the air thinning as oxygen levels dropped, her vision blurring. She patched into Haven 3 again. Elias, talk to me. His voice was grim, punctuated by sonic booms. They're through the bunkers. Civilians are fighting with tools, pipes, anything. A girl, maybe 10, took down a drone with a crystal shard. Aria's throat tightened, pride mixing with fear. That's my kind of kid, she said. Keep them alive, Elias. I'm working on it. Clara's voice returned, urgent. Your signal's hitting human frequencies, Aria. I've got pings, traitors, mercenaries, rogues, but they're hours away. The Dravex are locking onto your beacon. Aria's stomach dropped. How many? Clara hesitated. Armada, 50 ships, 2 light minutes out, ETA, 3 hours. An armada? Aria's mind raced. She had expected a squadron, not a fleet. The Dravex chants grew louder over intercepted comms, a rhythmic hiss praising their gods, promising to burn the impure. She patched into Virak's frequency, stalling. Hey, Virak, your priests sound like they're warming up for karaoke. Got any good tunes about losing? His response was a snarl. Your mockery will be your epitaph. Aria grinned, but the station shook, a new alarm blaring. Dravex boarding party, Sentinel wailed. Inner corridors, Sector 3. They're cutting through. Aria grabbed the welder, sprinting to a maintenance hatch, her heart pounding as she navigated the station's maze of rune-etched tunnels. She found the boarding party. 10 Dravex soldiers, their carapaced forms towering, their claws glowing with plasma. She rigged a power conduit to electrify the floor, frying half the squad, their screeches echoing as they collapsed. But the survivors advanced, forcing her to retreat, her welder's flame barely keeping them at bay. She sealed a bulkhead, buying seconds, and patched into Clara. You said you'd get help. Where is it? The hacker's voice was cold. Sorry, human. The Dravex offered a better deal. Your signal's coordinates for a clean slate. The Armada's first wave is here. Aria's blood ran cold as the station rocked, a plasma barrage tearing through the core's outer casing, alarms screaming as the beacon flickered, its signal stuttering. She stumbled, her vision darkening, the welder slipping from her hand as Clara's betrayal sank in. The core's glow surged, threatening to rupture, and the Dravex soldiers hammered the bulkhead, their claws inches from breaking through, leaving Aria trapped with a dying beacon and a colony's hope fading fast. The relay station burned like a dying star, its core a pulsing inferno of fractured conduits and molten steel, the nebula's crimson glow swallowed by the smoke of its own ruin. Aria Voss stood in the control room, her neon jumpsuit charred, blood and soot streaking her face, her green eyes fierce as she gripped the console with one hand and a plasma welder with the other. The Dravex soldiers' claws hammered the bulkhead, inches from breaking through, their red eyes glowing through the haze. The beacon's signal stuttered, its cry for Haven 3 fading as the core's casing cracked, a deafening whine signaling imminent collapse. Clara's betrayal echoed in Aria's mind, a knife in her gut, but the child's plea from the colony, scared, desperate, kept her anchored. She'd been helpless once, a kid hiding from raiders, and she'd sworn never to let fear win again. Sentinel's hologram flickered, its voice a broken whisper. Core breach in 5 minutes, Aria. Escape pod ready. You can't save them if you're dead. She shook her head, her breath ragged in the thinning air. Not leaving, Sentinel. That kid's counting on me. The bulkhead groaned, Dravex claws tearing through, and Aria rigged a final trap, diverting the last of the station's power to overload the control room's lights, unleashing a blinding pulse that stunned the soldiers. She dove through a maintenance hatch, her welder's flame searing a drone's carapace as she sprinted down a rune-etched corridor, the walls trembling with the core's death throes. Clara's voice crackled through her comm, urgent but laced with shame. Human, I lied. The Dravex didn't buy me off. It was a test. You didn't break, so I'm all in. My relay's boosting your signal to every human ship in the sector. Aria's laugh was sharp, breathless as she dodged a collapsing beam. You're a real piece of work, Clara. Fix this, or I'm haunting you. The hacker's tone softened. Deal. I've got pings. Human ships. 30 strong. ETA 2 minutes. Hold the line. Aria's heart leapt, but the station rocked, a plasma barrage from the Dravex Armada's first wave tearing through the hull. She patched into Haven 3, Elias's voice faint over screams and sonic booms. Aria, they're slaughtering us. The kids are fighting. Girl with a crystal shard took down a drone. We're holding, but barely. Aria's throat tightened, pride mixing with dread. Tell that girl she's a hero, Elias. Help's coming. She didn't know if it was true, but humans made their own truth. The sensors screamed and Sentinel's voice spiked. Armada in range, 50 ships. Core breach in 3 minutes. Aria reached the station's core chamber, a cavernous vault where the reactor pulsed. Hawkins glowed like a trapped star, its energy threatening to erupt. She accessed a hidden panel, uncovering the gravity disruptor from the logs, a Concorde prototype that could collapse enemy shields, but risked burning out the core instantly. Her hand hovered over the controls, doubt clawing at her. Saving the colony meant sacrificing the beacon, her only leverage. The kid's voice echoed, and she gritted her teeth. Not yet, she muttered, opting for a desperate plan. She rerouted the core's last reserves to the comm lasers, amplifying the signal to a deafening roar, a beacon of defiance piercing the void. Outside, the Armada loomed, their war chants hissing over intercepted comms, a rhythmic prayer to their gods of cleansing flame, their ships adorned with skeletal trophies of vanquished foes. Commander Virak's voice boomed. Human, your resistance is futile. Surrender, or we will burn your impurity to ash. Aria leaned into the mic, her smirk fierce. Virak, you talk a big game for someone who's about to lose. Humans don't surrender. A new signal burst through, strong and human. This is Captain Lena Torres, Freighter Dawnstar. We've got your beacon. RELAY 7. 30 ships, traitors, mercs, rogues. ETA now. Let's dance. The human fleet arrived, a chaotic swarm of patched freighters, sleek fighters, and jury-rigged gunships, their hulls scarred but defiant. They swarmed the Dravex Armada, using gravity slingshots to slingshot through asteroid fields, dodging plasma barrages with wild precision. A merchant ship rammed a Dravex cruiser, its hull crumpling like foil, while rogue pilots darted through debris, firing salvaged ion cannons. Aria coordinated from the core chamber, her voice calm but commanding. Dawnstar, hit their port flank. Rogues, use the nebula's dust for cover. Aim for their shield generators. The station shook, a plasma bolt cracking the core's inner casing, alarms screaming as the beacon flickered. Sentinel's voice was a plea. Aria, core breach in 1 minute. You must go. She ignored it, her hands steady, directing a freighter to exploit a gap in the Dravex line, its rams scattering 3 enemy ships. But the armada pressed closer, their fire relentless, and Aria knew the station was lost. She patched into Clyra. You're back in, hacker. Keep that signal alive. Clyra's voice was grim. I'm routing it through my relay, human. It's galaxy-wide now. You did it. Aria's eyes flicked to the core, its glow blinding, cracks spiderwebbing its surface. She saw her childhood, hiding, helpless, and vowed this would end differently. She sprinted to a docked rogue shuttle, a battered relic lent by a mercenary ally, and launched toward Virax's flagship, its hull fractured from human strikes. The station exploded behind her, a supernova that vaporized 6 Dravex ships, the beacon's final pulse a defiant cry. Aria boarded Virax's command bay, her welder raised, facing the commander, a towering figure, his carapaced form gleaming, mandibles twitching. His eyes widened, disbelief etched in their facets. Why fight for strangers, human? He hissed. What drives your kind to such madness? Aria's smile was fierce, her voice steady. They're not strangers, Virax. They're human. That's enough. You thought us extinct, but we're the spark that burns your empire down. She fired the welder, scorching his armor, and human fighters swarmed the flagship, their ion blasts tearing through its shields. Virax raised a claw, his voice faltering. You cannot win. Our gods demand your end. Aria stepped closer, her eyes blazing. Your gods don't get a vote. Surrender, or you're next. The flagship's crew faltered, their chants silenced, as human ships outmaneuvered their rigid formations. A freighter's ram splitting a cruiser in half. Virax lowered his claw, his surrender broadcast to the armada, which retreated into the nebulous haze. Hours later, Aria stood on Haven 3, its crystalline spires scarred but gleaming under a dawn-like glow, their bioluminescent cores pulsing like stars. Elias Reed clasped her hand, a girl beside him clutching a crystal shard, her eyes bright with defiance. You saved us, Aria, Elias said, his voice thick. We fought with shards, tools, anything. This girl... She took down a drone herself. Aria knelt, meeting the girl's gaze. You're tougher than any Dravex kid. Keep that shard sharp. The colony gathered in the Crystal Plaza, their bioluminescent organs glowing in a ceremony of gratitude, their voices weaving stories of resistance, miners wielding crystal blades, kids barricading doors, families refusing to break. Clyra, planet-side, her tattoos dimmed with exhaustion, offered a nod. I kept my end, human. Your archives are safe, and I'm not betting against you again. Aria smirked. Smart choice, hacker. Stick with us, and you might learn something. The human fleet dispersed, their patch ships vanishing into the stars, but their stand echoed across the sector. Traders whispered of the Beacon Keeper, a human who defied an empire, and alien envoys began to question the Dravex's claim of human extinction. Aria stood among the spires, the girl's courage, Elias's resolve, her own stubborn heart, a testament to humanity's fire. The galaxy watched, and that fire burned brighter than any star, a promise that no cry would go unanswered. Aria looked to the sky, her grin fierce. Damn good day's work, she muttered, the sector forever changed by a spark that refused to die.